everybody, and welcome to Hex Token channel. Woohoo! We're gonna have a good time today, I would say. The markets, we've got some good news, folks. We've got some good news in the markets, so it's gonna be pretty cool. So we're gonna look at what that might mean for October, yeah, let's have fun with that. And of course, welcome. Get into the chat, say hello, all that good stuff. Things are going to look a bit better for October than we might have thought. So yeah, very cool. BTC in the house there. Let's get ready to rumble, says BC. Hey, good to see you, BC. And of course, let's got Blobfish King in the house as well. Woo, one day closer to Pulsechain. We are indeed, and we've had some good news come out. Right, the last couple of days. We had yesterday. We had what did we have come out yesterday? We had we had Power City with a huge partnership, and that's going to be huge. So that's awesome. 68 blockchain potentially accessing that. Thousands of tokens on ramp. Man, Pulsechain is going to be the bomb, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. Okay, Brisbane, how say good to see you, Bris. What's up, everybody? What's up? Yeah. So and then today we had Richard Hart, of course, tweeting. We're going to look at that later, tweeting about looking forward to people who want to sell and exchange with on-ramp, off-ramps, which is that part of that vertical integration, Pulsechain vertical integration. So really cool. So what? Pulsechain, Pulsex, a bridge, and of course an exchange of fiat on-ramp, off-ramp. So that's the in a nutshell. But of course, we've got so much stuff building around the ecosystem. It's going to be epic by the time we launch. The delay, while frustrating for many, is going to end up being a godsend when it actually launches. The ecosystem, the timing of the market, I think it's going to probably play out pretty well there as well, Coach. So looking forward to that. All right, let's get straight into some of the comments here with the markets. We've got the stock market today. Dow racks up gains amid plunging treasury yields. Very, very cool. We're going to look at what caused that. And of course, this bodes well for October. October is generally good for crypto. Compared to September. September's typically a little bit on the waning side, but October's pretty good. And now we even got better news. We're going to talk about that as well. So if we look at the stock market there, obviously we had, 6 days out of the last 7 or 8 have been a red day, down day. Dow Jones, though, today, a green day and almost up 2%, 548 points there. Up to 29,683, not over the 30,000 yet. We want to get over that. Very important psychological level. Getting that Dow strongly back over that 30,000 mark, but a good day towards that effort. Remember, the Dow Jones is the top 30 industrial firms in the United States. We had the S&P 500 almost up 2% there, 71 points to 3,719, and the NASDAQ over 2%, which has a lot of the tech companies in it. Up 222 points, up to 11,051, back over 11,000. Very, very nice. Volatility index with the S&P 500 down 7.4%. Very nice. Down to 30 there, down 2.42 points there. And the dollar index there down a pretty significant 1.25% there, down to 112 there. So pretty good versus the trading partners. Let's have a look at the commodities as well. Obviously, we've got the Brent oil there is up $3, and of course that closed at $88. We've got the West Texas still open, but just down slightly there at 81.71. So obviously pulled off a little bit there from those highs that we saw, say, a month ago. We were up at $104. We're now back down to $88. So what's that? $16 difference. It's pretty significant. As well. Gold at 16.66 on gold, down $4. Silver at 18.85, and that's just where it is. It's not down too much, but gold's down $4. That's pretty much it. Let's look at some of the comments. The Dow closed higher as the Bank of England's intervention calmed investors' worries and triggered a slump in U.S. Treasury yields and stoking investor appetite to resume bets on stocks and crypto, of course, and crypto. So setting us up nicely for October. And of course, this wasn't expected, right? This outcome wasn't expected by many. But of course, we have known for a long time that the central banks are really stuck in the middle there. And it is a bit of a dilemma for them after having so much quantitative easing and expansion of the money supply. And then, of course, you got to mix that in with the fiscal policy of the government of the day. And of course, here we are. So Obviously, an issue around the tax cuts in England versus funding. Now, tax cuts generally pretty good for economic growth as opposed to high taxes. But of course, the offset of that is you still got to be able to fund your government's expenditure, right? So your government's deficits or surpluses. And of course, that plays out also into the monetary supply there, as well as if you've got people contracting. So, yeah, pretty much the pound went down, and now the Bank of England's had to respond. So let's have a quick look at that. The Bank of England said it delayed plans to begin its bond selling program. So this is pretty much a quantitative tightening, and of course, or quantitative tightening, and temporarily buy UK government bonds to restore orderly market conditions. In other words, they're back at expanding the monetary supply again. So quantitative easing as opposed to tightening there, expanding the monetary supply, good for asset values, right? And of course, crypto, stock markets, and that's really cool. This is going to be temporarily at the moment, but of course, they are in a bit of a tight squeeze. Let's see how long it actually lasts. The move put pressure on UK government bond yields, which trade inversely to prices, dragging other sovereign bonds, including the US yields, lower. What impact will that have on the Federal Reserve of the United States? There was a minor move lower in Fed funds pricing for the November rate move. And of course, the 10-year Treasury yield slumped to 6.5%, pulling back from 15-year highs. So let's see how long this lasts, but definitely October looking good for asset money expansion and assets. So this is a nice little surprise to the upside for us as well. Energy led the broader market higher, supported by a more than 3% rally in oil prices on supply disruption after 11% of oil production in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico was shut down due to disruptions from Hurricane Ian, which I understand is about a category 4, I think, maybe category 5 even. So that's a pretty big deal. We do definitely put our prayers out for you in those areas affected. Consumer stocks were also in ascendancy, with home builders and retailers leading to the upside. And finally, tech stocks climbed but lagged the broader market's move despite higher despite the fall in treasury yields, as a 2% slump in Apple weighed in on the sector. And I don't normally talk too much detail about the stocks in particular, but here's Apple came under pressure on reports the company is abandoning plans to boost new iPhone production, which is a real counter move to what we've seen recent commentaries here. The iPhone 14 just did not receive the same level of upgrades versus the iPhone 13 as the iPhone 14 Pro Max received versus the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And so that was pretty interesting there. So that's pretty cool. Positive news for our crypto for October. This is going to may possibly potentially defer a pull down to that full correction that we're expecting. And so maybe that's going to be November. Let's see how we get on. In any case, the stock market was up pretty much close to 2% on the indices, which is pretty cool. And of course, crypto, which had gone over 20,000, then pulled back down for Bitcoin, down about $1,700 down to I think it was 18. Has pretty much almost jumped back there. Definitely got above trend. And of course, there we are. Look and see the volatility. Let's have a look at the last 7 days and have a look at this volatility in here. You know, we were scrolling down here at 18,800. We sort of kind of got up to 19,000. Then we had a big run up over 20,000, very bullish. And then we got sold back down to under 19,000 again, then down to 18,670. And of course, now we're rising back up over 9,600, looking really good for Bitcoin. And let's see, we get over 20,000. That's super bullish. Get some confirmation there and maybe a bit of an uptrend in October. This could be a bit of life in here. So we're going to definitely see it and also be looking at how the Fed's going to respond to that. So bit of a nice upside there. Quantitative expansion buying is much better, obviously, for us. So let's see how that puts pressure on the Fed as well, because obviously the Fed's wanting to be fairly aggressive now on the interest rate rises, although I have been skeptical about what they'll do in November given the midterms and their masters in government at the moment. And they're supposed to be neutral, but of course, if you don't believe that, just go check out their policies they're whipping out. And they seem to have some obsession with crypto, with the regulations, even the Federal Powell coming out talking about regulating the markets. I mean, it's such a small market globally, honestly. It's surprising that they give it such high attention, obviously, because They want to control. They want to issue their own centralized coin, and of course then control people's lives, who can buy and sell. It's pretty much a given now. We've already seen. We saw a speech by the New Zealand Prime Minister today. I don't know if you saw it at the UN. It was atrocious. It was atrocious speech by our Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern. If you haven't seen it, it is absolutely hideous. They are basically going to remove freedoms, control the internet, and wanting to impose their worldview. Now, that is complete oppression, and they want to become the ministry of truth. Where have we seen that before? We've seen that in authoritarian regimes. It's really embarrassing to see it coming from New Zealand. You're supposed to be a freedom-loving country, but unfortunately, we have the authoritarians coming in. They are socialists as well. In other words, they're trying to remove all other opposition, and of course, impose their will upon the people. And basically enslave people, and the people will be willing. People go willingly, unfortunately, because most of them are ignorant. They just want to live their lives, want to get on with things. But unfortunately, man, the speech today was absolutely hideous from the Prime Minister in New Zealand. And of course, you'd think a small country like that, but unfortunately, the world's media has given her a bit of a platform as a glory star, a part of their thing. So really bad stuff, man. I was shocked. Normally, I don't talk politically on this channel that much. But man, it was horrendous, and it's embarrassing that's coming from here. Now, normally we've had a very flourishing society where you have basic freedoms, a neutral platform where people get to debate ideas, and the best ideas are supposed to win. But what these guys are doing is, instead of ignoring the best ideas, they are going to just impose their worldview and say that everybody else is a liar, is a cheater, is wrong, is misleading, is false. They're going to say everybody else's view is all false, and therefore they've got to deal with them and remove the rights and freedoms that we have. And so it's a pretty bad situation. I was absolutely aghast at the speech. We knew it was coming, but the fact that they're so openly brazen now about it is just a terrible thing. So wherever you are around the world, make sure you take notice to stand up for your freedoms, because these guys are wanting to take them away, particularly in particular countries. Like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, England, places like that, United States. So just be careful out there. Really is something you need to stand up for now. Otherwise you will lose it. And if you disagree on something, and you'll quickly find out that you're in the wrong camp if you don't agree with their opinion. So pretty much that. So anyway, that's enough from me. Let's move on to the Hex charts here. We've got Hex looking not too bad. We've got Hex here at 3.4 cents here at the moment, just under there. So had a pretty good day in the office, obviously up there as well. No real major breakout for Hex at the stage, but Hex is looking good. Hex is looking great. I think I said that. Hex future looks great. And the reason why we just had 1.1 billion between Maxi and, of course, the perpetuals get staked. This is a big, strong signal to the market. And, of course, I think whales have taken attention to that as well. You know, whales tend to move the markets right. Retail can do that under circumstances, but really that's a huge sign. A massive amount of circulating supply eating up there. I think that based on the numbers, the last numbers I had when going to the accountant and taking into account all the staking sinks of Hex, that we're probably well below 16 billion now in circulating supply. And I think that bodes really well for the future. So we may be somewhere in the 15.5 billion mark. So it's going to be really good. Getting all that Hex off the market and is fantastic. So very cool. And of course, in the short term, I think with the good news around the Bank of England quantitative easing and things like that, October's looking pretty good as well. Now, obviously, we've got less distractions now as well. So obviously, with no launch on, no HSI, at least we've got a window of opportunity where people can actually buy Hex. Now, people buy Hex, of course, it lifts all the other assets, the Acosa, Hedron, and Maximus team, perpetuals type of ecosystem, that whole ecosystem built on top of Hex that helps lift a lot of those asset classes, not all of them, of course, but a lot of them up into higher levels there in terms of relativity to US dollar gains. So, it's a good time. Obviously, this is not investment advice, but it's a good time for the market to start looking at dollar cost averaging into Hex. It's going to be pretty cool. Now, obviously, we've got a window of opportunity there as well that's opened up, particularly in October. Looks like that might be particularly good. Now, we're expecting October, November, particularly we could have that next pull down. But October's looking a bit brighter now, in my view. Maybe November is the pull down. We will see. We're still expecting it at some stage. So we do have to say, dollar cost average, all that sort of thing at the moment is a wise decision. But yeah, it'd be nice to see a nice hex move as well. Pretty bullish news, obviously, coming from Richard around the exchange, looking to buy an exchange. And of course, however he structures that is a different thing, like ownership structure, however he does that, that's probably a separate question. But definitely a call for sellers of centralized exchanges with fiat on-ramps, off-ramps, really bullish. Power Cities, a partnership, really bullish with massive exchanges and stuff. This is going to be glorious in Pulsechain. Going to be truly glorious. I'm really looking forward to it. Another, obviously, one day closer. That's all I can say about that. So cool. That's where we are at the moment. And of course, we do still have, some of the Bitcoins, particularly like Mt. Gox and things like that, still in front of us. So maybe that might play out in October or somewhere. We'll see. It may just slowly ladder in as well. So it may not just happen all in one go. But yeah, we've still got that wild card out there. It's not the wild card, it's the wrong word. We still got that, sitting, those events still sitting out there. And of course, Richard's been monitoring those, as he said in PulseCon there as well. So anyway, looking good. Obviously, man, if Hex starts to rise, man, you could see all these other asset classes rising. We got Maxi at the moment, had a real major breakout there. Look at that. Woohoo! This is Maxi versus Hex. And of course, up at 8.61 cents at the moment. And this is on the hourly chart there. It got up to 8.649. And of course, let's have a look at the premium over Hex. Really broke out there higher, which is nice to see. It took a little while, a few hours, which is not a problem, I guess. It was sitting at about 2.25. We were then sitting at about 2.4, something like that, 2.43. And then we had to break out the last last day or two, or just basically the last day we had a breakout there. I just realized it switched to the daily when I did it. Yeah, so we were sitting at where were we? Around this 2.42 around here. Eased off a bit here down to 2.22 on the hourly, came up, and then really we started breaking out just in the last couple of hours. Yeah, this candle here in particular, with the volumes coming in here, we jumped from 2.46 there up to 2.53. Really nice move up there. Let's see where this goes to. Maxi versus Hex there with the premium. And obviously, if Hex decides to make a bit of a rally during October, that would be pretty nice indeed to see the power of that. The Maxi versus Team, of course, we've got that ratio at 1.085. Obviously, Maxi over Team, one Maxi to Team. So that's looking pretty good too. What else there? Hedron USDC. I've taken off a few of these charts here. I had all the charts on. I'm going to reorganize them, so I just haven't finished that. Hedron at the moment is not too bad as well. Obviously, we're waiting for the big November fortnight, big payday, as I call it. Looks like we're going to have something close to 60,000 T-shares, I think, probably as high as 60,000 T-shares up for grabs. And, of course, most of that in the first day. There, I think it's technically the 14th of November, I think. And, of course, we're almost, we got up to 3,000 today on Hedron. So this is going to have another day in the office. This might be a nice accumulation phase here, subject to, market conditions, but nice accumulation phase. We've still got, 6 weeks to go, 6.5 weeks, something like that, 6 weeks to go for that big November event. So we're going to see what happens to this chart as we move forward. And in between this time, of course, between the launch of perpetuals and the big payday in Icosa perpetuals, Icosa Hedron, we're going to have possibly Pulse Dogecoin. And of course, let's jump over to the airdrops there. Pulse Dogecoin is probably the next play for me. These are the more probable plays as opposed to more riskier plays. I mean, there's riskier plays, but these are the more probable plays. We're currently, you can see the price here trying to escalate itself up there. Got to change the plane to green, but there's Wolverine flying that up there. It's tried now twice now in the last 4 days to get up to $3.68, which is pretty cool. And this is coming up here. So we got Pulse Bitcoin here. This is the new site. Welcome to a better Bitcoin. Pulse Bitcoin, more secure, no pollution, more inclusive, and the ultimate store of value. Launch imminent. Obviously, the imminence. The founder doesn't know the word imminence very well, but it's probably just a bad marketing ploy. It's imminent every single day. But in any case, they should probably use the right language. Would be appreciated. But anyway, there we are. So at the moment, $3.40. We've had in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, we've had a low of $2.94. So looking pretty nice for the set there. Remember, the high is $9.53. So let's see where it can go from there, and actually can it even smash the $10, get up to maybe that $13, $14 range. Can be fun to see. Now, this is obviously moving to a dual token. I think the most hints we've had about Pulse Bitcoin is that if you've got Pulse Dogecoin, that will be of benefit to you in this new better Bitcoin, this Pulse Bitcoin here. So it's going to be able to leverage your position, I guess, in some way. So that is kind of that. So that degree of connection to Pulse Bitcoin probably be an important determiner of how big the price may go. But that's kind of the next play for me, subject to the tokenomics, which we're waiting for. So yeah, so kind of we just had the perpetuals and team, which was super duper successful. And then, of course, I think Pulse Dogecoin next play. And then, of course, the Hedron Koza coming into November. You probably have to front run your positions on that. But that's kind of where we are at this stage. Now, November could be pretty volatile, though. We could see a change in the November thing. That's kind of the month that I think is probably the most vulnerable from a general financial market point of view. So we'll see how that plays out as we get more information. Now, today, I will be posting a video on the financial indicators coming up for October. So keep a lookout for that. As you guys know, I've started covering those every month. I put out a video on the major economic indicators that may have a major impact on the markets during that month. So stay tuned for that. It's going to come out later today. All right, cool. That's pretty much that on those markets. Let's jump over to the weight token. While we're here, is just under 0.6 of a penny there, pretty much trading in the range, which is nice. Let's jump over the BNB memes here as well. BNB just over 0.4 of a penny on Pulse Dodge. P33 currently at 11 cents. A bit of a slightly more increase there on the Pulse Dodge there at 11 cents. Just up slightly, but still pretty low, relatively speaking, with the low there you can see a couple of days ago of 8 cents. So nice little gain if you pick the bottom, but other than that, for the rest of everybody else, it's not so hot. Looks like Internet Money is trying to make a little bit of a move, but still near the bottom. But nice little bounce back off 6,000 up to 7,000, and got as high as yesterday as 7,500. Currently at 6,000 or 7,000 at the moment. So a little bit of comeback, but still down the bottom there. Let's see whether it can make a comeback on that one. Finally, let's get to our wildcards. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. The wildcards here, Conrad Zen, and of course Trayvon. Let's look at PZen first. PZen here broke down just like I indicated here. Once we lost the 0.7 of a penny mark over here, down it went, and it is up here at the moment. So let's actually see. I got gifted some temporarily on a temporary loan basis. I accepted it because it's not my money, so I'm not taking it. So there we are. So let me have a look here. What else we got? Let's jump. I'm just going to jump over to that chain, and let's have a look at the one here. It's going to see. We're going to monitor this. Oh boy. Okay, cool. So I started off at 9,994 PZen. I've now got 10,012.4 PZen at the moment. So there we are. It's just slowly ticking away there. Yeah, at the moment it's worth a little bit more with a bounce back, a little bit of bounce back there in the chart. So let's see where this goes. They have a burn and I guess a trading mechanism. I guess it's kind of, I don't know how, I think it's close to Dodeca, similar. I think in the mechanism there, I think it may, there's a differences in it. I'm just not sure. I'll have to get a comparison of that. Might spend some time doing that today. We've got the more token there is down. And that's what I said to you. This is still more probably down because it's got a lower low and a low highs. And of course, here we are at the moment, bottom of the range, holding this though. But today is kind of the worry day here. Look at that, 75 cents just below. Let's see whether it breaks down further here. And of course, this is by Trayvon there. Kind of weird if you think about it. We had a good day in the markets with the markets up, but then this chart is looking down, which is kind of, if you thought it was going to bounce in the Trayvon community, then it would have bounced today, and really hasn't at this stage. So we'll see how we go on that one. That's kind of that. Let's jump over to the Hex Whalebot and check out what's been happening for Hex driving the markets there. We've had, let's have a look here. We had 11 million in staked. We had, what else going on there? Some good accounting, some more good accounting. We love these penalties. If you staked Hex with your T-shares, you are loving these penalties, folks. Look at all that good accounting. I think I love those penalties more than Brazology does. I think that, look at them all. A fantastic day in the office. There's obviously Richard's tweet there. We're going to talk about that in a second. 7 hours ago, we had 4.6 million hex bought, 456,000. Very nice. Time to accumulate hex, as we say. Do your own investment research and all that sort of stuff. Penalties. Oh, man, nice penalty. Man, these are insane. Some people are crazy out there. But we'll take the penalties. Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? 6 hours. Look at all these penalties. Woohoo! Millions of them. That's some crazy stuff right there. And then 125 million hex stake for 290 days. So not too bad. We'll take that anytime. Like I said, a lot of these people end up restaking. So that's really cool. 125 million hex. Very, very nice. So good day in the office. Now, what was I going to say there? We're going to get the Hex Daily stats. It's coming up pretty shortly. I think we've got a couple of minutes to go. Yep, 3 minutes to go. And we're going to get day 1031 hot off the press. And then we're going to have to wait about 15 minutes for that. So we'll come back to that. Woo-hoo-hoo! All right, so very cool. We're going to get into ETH Power and ETH Fair numbers. So stay tuned for that. Let me get into some of the comments as well. Hope you guys are excited, man, because we've had a lot of good news lately. And, of course, it just keeps coming and coming. We might be in a bear market, but, man, we are having not too bad a time. We are waiting patiently for Pulsechain. So that's the only thing we have to be patient about. In the meantime, the Hex ecosystem is dropping some awesome stuff. They're expanding massively. And, of course, we've had some good lead-up news for Pulsechain, which means that Pulsechain is going to be even bigger and better by the time we get there. It's going to be so good. Dave Down Under says, I'm waiting for Pulsechain's wildcard pump. Yeah. And Lies Beneath says, hello, how are you today? Good, Lies. Hex, EHEX, PLS, and PLSX for the 100% Lies. We are with you on that strategy. That is the maxi strategy of this channel. Christian says, my son is in Florida getting hit by the hurricane. Oh, wow. I pray for your son's safety there, Christian. And hopefully they're locked away there. So cool. What else there? They want it because trillions of dollars is going through crypto, says Christian. True that. Yeah, but it's no trillion dollars. It's still hardly anything. The crypto market's still so small. What's it, less than $1 trillion at the moment? I mean, it's just around $1 trillion. It's not even that big. So let's have a look at nomics actually, just quickly. Yeah, that's just crazy stuff there. Like I said to you, man, if people don't defend their freedoms, these guys are going to take them away. It's really terrifying what they're up to. 967 billion at the moment. I mean, it's just nothing burger. And of course, on the market cap, in terms of asset values, obviously you're probably talking about the volumes, trading volumes going through. But we got the global volume there, 24 hours, 322 billion on the daily there. So, yep. All right, so let's jump over to a couple more comments there. Edo says, you're right, respect Abe Yamini and Rebel News. Enough of woke New Zealand. I moved to Asia, says Edo. Yeah, hey, look, Abe has been doing a great job. And these guys are not radicals or anything. They're just calling out common sense. Typical the mainstream media, which is radical, making out everybody else. They're always calling everybody else out what they're actually doing. So they're removing rights. They're oppressing people's views. And then they're telling everybody else is their extremists. That's the biggest fat lie you can imagine. Charles says, I'm sorry to hear that about your terrible Prime Minister, Hex Token. That's such a load of garbage. Yeah, I know. That's pretty bad. Pulse Beta says, good morning, Super. Hey, Pulse Beta, good to see you in the house. We have our guns still, and it scares the shite out of them, says Charles. Well, in the United States, you do. But, of course, they've taken a lot of those away from here, although not that I would call for that. We just want a peaceful society with freedom, and they definitely – it's called Illuminati, One World Order, says Christian. Well, they're definitely doing something along those lines. We've seen that now publicly on the WEF. So if you don't believe that's happening, just go watch some of the WEF videos. They're saying it openly. What we've known for a long time that they're up to. So go check that out. Ashtray says, been away for a bit of a boy. Have I got some catching up to do with EW and EF, says Ashtray. Hey, you're welcome, man. I've done some videos on that the last couple of days, Ashtray, so check those out. And, of course, also in Discord, we've got useful links. Check out the useful links with all the links there. Maximus Dow says, KD. Yeah, Maximus Dow doing absolutely amazing. Big shout out to Dipcatcher and Goldkey for all the hard work. Now, Dipcatcher's working on stuff, so we're going to talk about that in a second. Brent and Islix in the house there. Crypto has to succeed to regain raw order and power to the people. Absolutely, Brennan. This is no bounce, says Miss Nickers. And, of course, Pac-Man says, woohoo! Good to see Pac-Man. Bull trap. Yeah, it's always a bull trap, Miss Nickers. Always a bull trap. Sometimes it's not a bull trap. October will be up at trend and stocks also up trend. Yeah, I agree with that. Disagree, says Miss Nickers. hey, that's cool. You know, everyone's welcome to the opinion. This is part of the freedom. And of course, we'll see which plays out. But I definitely think October's looking much better now with that surprise from the Bank of England. RH needs exchange due to that Fed and FTX guys. Bankman will go against DeFi and they will try to make it illegal. Any thoughts on this and how it can affect Pulsechain, Pulsex, and Hex? Well, you know, Pulsechain, Pulsex, and Hex is on decentralized land, so we are pretty well protected from that point of view. Pac-Man, you know, as long as we keep away from centralized exchanges, very hard to regulate. They try to do is regulate the people as opposed to the technology. So that's where the threat is. Katie in the house there, congrats to all the Hexicans participating in the Maximus DAO. Stake that Hex, let's go, says Katie. Absolutely, it was awesome. Watch and learn newbie stocks market prices. September always bad and oversold. Bad news are priced in. October usually uptrend month. That is true. That is correct. Yeah, we don't have. Yeah, Pac-Man, you probably didn't have to say a newbie mistake, but I get it. There's no need for you know no need for you know what do you call it ad hominem comments. I think it is ad hominem. I got to say that properly. All right, so I can tell, says Pac-Man. Anyway, no need to point out the person, Pac-Man. I agree with your comments, but about the crypto, but let's not keep it personal. Appreciate that. Thanks, guys, in the chat there. So Katie says, smash those likes. Yeah, definitely smash those likes. Christian's in the house there as well. Pac-Man is a scary thing. What FTX is trying to do, it can happen because FTX knows the right people. And these days, it's not how much you got, it's whom you know. That is true. A lot of truth in that. Six says, what's good? 555. Yeah, that's true. That's how we roll. Sandy Beach says, what is there? A nice to safe airdrop? Yeah. So I did post that on the YouTube channel there for Hex Token. Let me just quickly check that. Bam. And let's go to your channel and let's go to the community tab. I have posted this on the community tab here. And of course, attention people that staked Hex and Staker app, particular safe tokens can be claimed until the end of the year. Staker app put together a process for claiming directly in the app as soon as possible. So this is actually a quote from them, not from me. Obviously, in the meantime, you can use the Gnosis interface. Some people find that a little difficult to use, so you can just wait if you want to for Staker app to do the upgrade where you can claim. If you have issues, reach out to Staker app. Link, and there's the link to the tweet there. Welcome to the next generation of digital assets there. So another cool airdrop. So if you have staked Hex using the smart wallet in the Staker app, then you will qualify for that. But I think if you set a smart wallet up but don't use it, I don't think you qualify. So just let you know that. And of course, if you just read only with your paste address, you won't qualify. It's only if you've used the smart wallet Gnosis Safe interaction there, as far as I understand. So definitely check that out. So we've got a couple of comments in there actually. I'm not sure what they're commenting about there. Let's have a look, see what people have said. Staker app new version will be great. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So definitely check that out. All right, who else is in the house there? FTX is buying all the Chapter 11 ones and wants to register them all in and go after the decentralized bill, says Pac-Man. Good oversight there, Pac-Man. Very nice show today, says probably. Hey, you're welcome. I'm waiting, says, you're waiting for the weight token. Yeah. Let's jump over to some of these. Catching up in super speed, says Sam. Baking hot and Bako. What else there? Katie says, nice day in the Hex office, says Katie. Absolutely is. Pac-Man says, November is the first bill, so we'll see more about it then, says Pac-Man. Yeah, good observation there. We'll keep track of that one. Great White says, got you live. It's been a while, says Great White. Hey, good to see you in the house. As always, Great White. And Rothko as well. Bob Wells in the house too. What else have we got there? If I want to transfer my Hex from ETH-W to ETH proof of stake, I need to use a bridge, right? Yes. You'll use one of those swap bridges. From ETH-W, you can use swap space, but just remember that with swap space, it will take about probably up to 500 transactions confirmations. So it could be over 2 hours. And typically the swap space timeline is about an hour and a half, but it will still go through Sandy Beach. But you just, if it takes a while, just use the contact support on that website and just ask them for an update on your order status, which will be fine. I've done that myself, Sandy Beach, so that's the way it goes. It'll take up to about 2 hours with 500 confirmations, something like that. What else there? So look here, jumping through some of these. Check my pulse in the house. Evening Hexkins, good to see you. Davis is in the house as well. Big Kahuna, hello, fellow Hexkins. Good to see you, Big Kahuna. Welcome to everybody, of course. Welcome to Hex Token channel. Your host, Superman, in the house. Thank you, Hex Tokens here, Sandy Beach. Yeah, swap space is really fast when you swap ETH to ETHW, and only takes a couple of minutes. But going the other way, you need 500 confirmations or something. Hopefully that will get better in time. Yeah, it's probably just because it's a new chain or something. I read a comment about why that was. I just can't remember why they needed that so many confirmations, but that's pretty much it. Maybe I'll try and find that comment that was the explanation for that. Right, let's have a look at ETH Power. That's probably a good segue into ETH Power there from Sandy Beach. And of course, we've got the liquidity here. So this is ETH Power on DEX Screener, so Ethereum Power. And of course, it's got reference prices to centralized exchanges. So remember that if you jump onto KyberSwap, which is a popular exchange for swapping tokens, they don't have the stable coins, all went pretty much to zero. So all the US dollar amounts there are all false. So you need to get a reference price from a centralized exchange, which is based on the ETH Power pairing with a real stable coin on the Ethereum network. So that's how we get these prices. At the moment, of course, we've got Hex at the moment at 001647. It's down 10% on a 24-hour basis, but it's still holding up pretty well. I think it's holding up pretty well. Remember, the all-time high was about 0.4 of a penny. So it's what, about 40% of that, something like that. So that's pretty much where it is at the moment. Now, I don't know if they've got Maxi on here. I haven't been able to find Maxi on here. Let me know in the chat there if you've managed to trade Maxi on KyberSwap. Haven't been able to see anything. There's nothing on DEX Screener there. Now, we do have Hedge on here and stuff like that. Now, Uni has been doing really well. $1.74 on Uni. Some people are calling for $10 Uni prices. We'll see whether that actually happens. That's definitely possible, but I guess. And the liquidity at the moment, 650, 272, so forth. Let's have a look at the top volumes at the moment. Or let's just have a look at the top price changes. We've got some pretty high price changes here, and for some of these smaller coins, I'm not actually familiar with any of these. Harry Potter or something, Open Tigers. I'm not even sure we got Maker there though. Maker's did pretty well. Look at the percentage on Maker at the moment. Man, Maker they're up 760%. So it's been some definitely nice moves. But in terms of liquidity, the top pairing is Uni, Pow, and Hex. We got Bone from the SHIB community, Cake Pow, SHIB. Over the top ones, all over 50K. And volume there, so it's the kind of liquidity there at the moment. Let's have a look at ETH Fair though. Bam, ETH Fair. Of course, ETH Fair USD prices are based on for Ethereum Fair being derived from a MEXC's exchange based on their ETH USD tether market on the Ethereum chain, of course, and may fluctuate significantly. There are currently no stables on Ethereum Fair. Please do your own research. So this is good that you remember that in terms of the reference prices. Now they have their own fork of Uniswap. They have had a new URL come out as well. So let's jump over to that. Now, I did update that. So this is their original one. And if you see my video on how to buy ETH Fair on the Uniswap fork, this is the uniswap.etherfair.org swap. Now, that still works as far as I know. I haven't done a trade on that, but it still works as far as I know. Don't see any reason why I wouldn't. But they did post out a new URL for that, dex.etherfair.org, and of course the swap there. So this seems to me just another alternative. This is a link to the tweet there for that. So if you're swapping, this is on-chain swaps, remember. So you need to use a DeFi Swift if you're going to do the cross-chain swap. So swapping from ETH to ETH Fair on the ETH Fair network. And of course, to do that, you have to be on the Ethereum network because you're sending ETH over. But of course, if you want to then do an on-chain swap where you want to swap from ETH Fair to Hex, for example, on the ETH Fair chain, then you need to use one of these Uniswap forks here. And of course, here's dex etherfair.swap. So I think that's if I click on that, that's still looking looking fine. That's a new one there. Now you can get the link to the tweet for that, of course, from the actual Ethereum Fair group there. And of course, here it is here. So it was at the 27th. It just came out yesterday as well. There were some issues apparently. Some of these had some issues on this one, so just be careful. I would just use the existing one if that's perfectly well. There were some little people were complaining about it. Now it is Twitter, so you got to be careful with some of the comments. On there. So that's all I would say about that. Yeah, and so forth. So the other thing, of course, is I've been covering quite a few of the updates. Updates here. Looks like the number of mining pools has increased for Ether as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, you're definitely worth following them on Twitter to get the latest and greatest, like new ecosystem, new products, new bridges and stuff like that. Ether is successfully listed on Swift blockchain, so that's cool. Vietnam, so cool, lots of stuff happening there. I think that's it, 15 minutes, so that's kind of cool. All right, so let me jump back to Ether. So that's kind of cool. Liquidity, of course, is still relatively small compared to ETH PAL. 68,000 is the top here, and Hex is dominating at the top. We've got SHIB down there as well. We've got Uniswap here. Now, you've got to be careful with the contracts. Make sure that they are the real contracts, like the real Uni contract and things like that. Just make sure you do your investment due diligence. Always check the contract first. You want to make sure you're dealing with the right asset class as opposed to some scam, of course. So be very careful with that. Always, I suggest using for these new chains as well, using a separate wallet with its own private keys. One that you can isolate any risk for interacting with new dexes and swaps and contracts and things like that. Very wise. Don't use your Genesis wallets for Hex staking on ETH chain. Really do strongly suggest you do that. Yeah, that's probably better for you, generally speaking. Now, I haven't heard of any issues, but it's just a wise thing to do in time, right? Because you just never know where there's an issue comes up later on, where there was some contract issue or some backdoor or something like that. So just be careful with that. But in the meantime, everything's been going pretty well as well. Now, obviously, there's a couple of issues around these chains. Is that it's generally good to accumulate tokens early on. So obviously, most people got these free. So they're free tokens. So, whatever you got, more free tokens. They currently have value. At the moment, we can see that Hex here is worth 0.0061, which is what, just over 25% of the all-time high at 0.002, which is 0.2 of a penny. So it's holding up all right. It's up 22.6% compared to the ETH Power network, which is actually down 10%. So what's pretty nice. And of course, you can get a lot more volume at a lower price on this chain. Obviously, the ETH Power has more exchanges and a bigger network effect at the moment. That may or may not hold true over time. We will see. Obviously, if the crypto market declines, then maybe these asset prices decline after a little while, after the excitement's over. So that's always a risk as well. The other thing, of course, is you need a certain amount of economic energy to go into these chains in addition to the ETH chain, particularly for Hex, for example. On the other hand, accumulating the first few months might be quite good. Maybe it's a longer play, and these chains do okay. Now, there's obviously a lot of chains around as well, a lot of EVM chains, and of course, Pulsechain is coming, which is going to. Pulsechain is you can't even really compare these ones. I think ETH Power is probably with more exchanges is doing pretty well, but compared to Pulsechain, I'm going to be doing a video on this because there's so many advantages, so many huge things. It's just it's almost an apples oranges thing. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, they're both dexes, but both blockchains. But we'll talk more about that in another video. So yeah, this is where that is at the moment. Accumulating early time is good. If you haven't got any, you can do that. You can speculate, and of course, this is far more speculation than say Hex on the ETH chain. Now, obviously, Hex on Pulsechain is going to be the main game. I think a lot moving forward. But I suggest to you that Hex on ETH and Hex on Pulsechain will both be extremely good and extremely valuable over time, and likely to have a very large liquidity bonded pairs is my expectation based on some of the indications from Richard. So we will see. We've definitely got the agencies through the Origin account, Sacrifice wallets with Hex and USDC and things like that. Remember, 660 million US dollars went in there, and I know that some of that has moved, but it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to see that big bonded fat liquidity pair between Pulse and Hex there, obviously using wrapped tokens. So it's going to be fun to see that. Yeah, and in the meantime, we've got these other chains. It's going to be pretty cool. Now, these might, as long as they have a reasonable price, then they're going to be reasonably held up. But of course, to grow, they're going to need lots more economic energy, obviously subject to the size of the liquidity pool. You could keep prices at like this as long as you got turning over for a long period of time. So we'll see how it goes. But obviously, you can see the relative liquidity pair on each of them at the moment. So I would probably be watching those sort of numbers over time, also watching the trading numbers over time as well. And with the prices, if you want to keep a tab on this to see how it's maturing in time. So pretty cool. Let's jump over to, I think we've talked about Pulse Bitcoin. Yep. And let's jump over to Maximus. Obviously, Maximus is doing a lot of stuff since the super successful launch, 1.1 billion Hex staked, and of course, 810 million as well. We're going to see those results. Should see them in the Hex Daily Stats today. I think we should see all the T-shares pop in. I thought it would be yesterday, but then I'm thinking about when they actually staked. I think the volume showed up because of the timing, but then the T-shares should show up today. So we'll look forward to that. New dashboard for Team Maxi and Perpetuals is coming soon for those that want it. Now, I think he's saying that they have a few issues with cross-chain, but he may try and, getting all the cross-chain assets for Maxi and Team Perpetuals in one dashboard, but I think he's going to try and work on that. We'll see how he gets on with the integration. He showed that yesterday. What else there? Earlier today, 6 hours, he talked about all the premiums that were there. This is 6 hours old, of course. Maxi was 156% premium over Hex, 8% Desi over Hex, 3% premium over Hex, 1% premium over Hex with Trio, and a 1-to-1 with Hex with Base, which is surprising. I do suspect that we'll get a bit of a premium in Base over Hex, and we may have that now. Cool. And Team 11% discount to Maxi, which is interesting, but I think that may have gone as well. I'll have to check that, but in any case, I'll be watching out for those. And I think that was pretty much the highlight for me. Obviously, Steffi gave the winners away. So these are people that won the guessing game on how much Hex would go in. Joe Blog came in first, Hexy, Maxi, and of course, Reggie Bones. So congratulations to them. They all won 555 Maxi from Steph, the founder of Staker app. So that was pretty cool. I think that's kind of some of the highlights there. Obviously, Decimus is on Nomics, which is pretty nice. I think that's trying some of the highlights, just going through some of these. Elite Pulse Chain strategy, accumulate the best assets prior to the fork that are destined to dominate the Pulse Chain. Maximus Alpha tokens are 100% backed by Hex and high yield Hex stakes. That's so true. So very cool. Yeah, that was it. That's highlights from Maximus, and of course, big shout out to them as usual for dropping that amazing project on top of Hex, which has just got, like I say, a massive amount. Now we've got the Hex Daily Stats coming up, day 1031. We're now day 1032 as we head towards 3 years of Hex, that magical birthday. So stay tuned for that. Looks like we've got a base amount of T-share at the moment, 6.1. They're definitely slightly lower than we were because of the stakes, no doubt, that have just gone into place. We should see those today. Yesterday we didn't see them. Remember, we saw the previous day. We saw the Hex come out. The Hex disappear and of course get staked, but no T-share upgrade on those T-shares. So we're waiting for that. Should come out today. I think it was just the timing of when it all happened there on the day rollover. So we'll wait for that day 1031 there to come out now and get all those juicy T-shares in there, I'm sure. What else there? I think that was it. Richard, of course, this was out a little while ago now, 10 hours or something. I did post a little video about this. Have a cryptocurrency exchange with fiat on-ramps, off-ramps. Do you want to sell it? DM me if so. Remember, the vertical integration for Richard. The base is Pulsechain, Pulsex, the bridge, of course, and now, of course, an exchange with fiat on-ramps, off-ramps. And obviously, if you check out my video, we'll look at some of the things. Coast, obviously, looking at the fiat on-ramp, off-ramp with the fiat-backed one. Remember, it's fiat-backed and, of course, non-custodial. And, of course, with the stablecoin, CST. That they were responding to this, so you can check out that video. I also raised the issue of EB Exchange by Rack and Rochelle Overwatch with everything blockchain, and of course doing the Saudi-based exchange. Obviously gives them a lot of options there too. So I don't know if they'll end up selling that to Richard. I think they're pretty much looking to operate a pretty successful business out of that. I'll be surprised, but that's definitely one option. Obviously, there's all the legacy options as well, and so we'll see whether any legacy exchange looks to do that And there's lots of them, right? Could be potentially do that. Could be Nomics. Could be all sorts of place. Anything that has a fair off ramp. I'm not sure about Nomics actually. I haven't actually used anything on there, but definitely lots of options there. We'll see who responds to Richard with it as well. And of course, what ownership structure would that have? That's another side of the things. Now, he was looking at doing getting exchange license in I think it was Spain, and that he wasn't having much success with that. Last update he gave us on his channel some time ago. So definitely, we'll see who comes to the table, as it were. And we probably won't hear too much about that until after it's all said and done. I guess we will see. So fun times there, but super bullish. The last leg of the table for Pulsechain vertical integration. So bullish stuff there from Richard, and of course that was on top of what we had with Power City. And of course, if you missed Power City update, I did post a video on that as well. This was also bullish for Power for Pulsechain. And of course, what else do I have? We've got my video posted. It's pretty nice. Let's retweet that. So I posted a video on that yesterday. Huge Pulsechain news. Power City announces partnership with Multichain. Now, Multichain was previously called AnySwap. I do think that they had because bridges were really difficult technology, and we remember they having a lot of trouble. What year time is it now? Just going to make sure I get my time right. In 2021, bridges were really being developed, and remember there's a lot of issues with a lot of bridges. They're trying to get around technology. Now it's pretty good for the most part. Occasionally there's breaches, but it's actually pretty good. And I think these guys, AnySwap, which are now called Multichain, are pretty much at the top there. 65 potentially 65 chains and over 2,800 tokens interacting with Pulsechain. Yes, please. Yes, please. This is huge. And of course, this is what I mean. This is just one of the many things that's going to make Pulsechain so it's almost an apple orange thing compared to ETH-Power and ETH-Fair. And of course, it's going to be proof of stake as well, which is the future, really, if you think about it. People want to have that more environmentally friendly chain. Of course, definitely with the value not going to miners but going to the chain users is the other side of it as well. So very exciting. Just like Hex is a better Bitcoin in terms of its with a proof of work change. Building on Ethereum now, which is even better now because of the proof of stake. So it bodes well for the future, and of course for the narratives as well that you want to play up. So very exciting. And of course, let me just scroll down to the announcement as well. This was a big deal, this announcement. Power City is building mini roads into Pulsechain by partnering with world-class bridge builders. Multichain Org, our transformer cross-chain swap, will provide quick and easy onboarding. This is really important, right? So Rich has always talked about as part of the vertical integration is that the official bridge. So we have the official Pulsechain bridge, but now we're going to have this cross-chain swap DEX, which means that you're going to be able to swap from all different chains into different tokens. It's going to all be done for you. You're not going to have to go click this. How I've done these YouTube videos, how to do ETH-Power and stuff. That you're not going to have to worry about that. It's going to go bam, bam, and it's going to go, and then before you know it, you got your assets, and of course it's going to be tied into Pulsex. So it's going to be very nice. And we also see that Liquid Loans obviously bring to the table as well. Taylor is with Oracles. So very nice. Oracles coming. We needed that as well. We need stable coins, Oracles, cross-chain swap bridges, all coming, folks, to Pulsechain. Pulsechain is going to be absolutely massive. It's going to be very seamless. And of course, we're going to have to get the word out about all these utilities that are building on. Now, Power City still has their sacrifice open, so you can sacrifice for that if you want to get involved. I do consider it one of the top utilities on Pulsechain. And of course, if they get the volumes traded through these cross-chain swaps, you could see a lot of fee structure going into there. Let's actually pull that up just quickly on that, just in case you want to check it out. Let me go to my bookmarks. I think I've got the link here somewhere. It's probably far down because it's been a while since we've talked about this. But let's pull up the chain. I think this is still relevant. Don't worry, we're almost there, I think. Here it is here. So they got their cross-chain swap. Obviously, they're going to have even more chains. So we got the EVMs chains here, 6 of them. Looks like they're going to have potentially up to 68 now with this new partnership. And of course, over 2,800 tokens, if I'm interpreting that correctly, that tweet. And of course, the fees. Imagine the volume going through there and the fees coming in. So if you're staking the Watt token, you'll be getting fees just from this. But of course, they've got a lot of other big products they're going to have. Pixel Park, Amplify, Loan Booster, Accelerator, Yield Farmer, and of course the Flex product, which is another Hex second layer Hex product, just like Maximus and Icosa Hedron. So that's bullish too. All the fees flowing into here. So I definitely think that this will be, with high probability, one of the top utility projects on Pulsechain. And of course, good for Pulsechain, good for people that are in the weight tokens, a win-win, right? And of course, people stake weight, they're going to get Pulse as well. So it's definitely, for me, going to be one of the best Pulse generator platforms out there. And of course, it's going to be exciting to see that. Now, obviously, if you want to sacrifice, the sacrifice is still open. So all you have to do is go to the sacrifice tokens here. Now you can find them on Discords, of course, on our Discord. But they are still open. They're going to be open right up until Pulsechain. The rate is different though. Remember, they start off at 2 points for $1. I think it's 1 point for $1 now. So you can see the top of the leaderboard there. Where are they up to? Almost $3.2 million. It's 2,653 wallets. There's currently 6.5 million weight tokens, or watt tokens, I should say, in issuance, or going to be issued. You can see how it's grown over time, still just ticking away there. What else we got on here that's interesting? You can see the values on here and everything like that. So I'll post this in the chat there. If you want to check it out, definitely check it out. I do think, this is one of my top ones. You know me, I try to just talk more about quality. I try to stay away from the risky ones. That's why there's tons of projects I don't talk about, because, I want everybody to do the best. Obviously, you got to do your own investment due diligence, just my opinions. But ultimately, that's really the important part there. So this is a Power City website. Hey, looks like they've updated it. Wow, this is how long it's been since I've been on the site. They have upgraded the site. Man, it looks much better. Oh my gosh, this is way better. Nice work. Okay, cool. Man, I didn't realize it had been this long since I looked on here. This is much better here. Wow, Power City Core, Marketplace, Amplifier, Flex, Transform Spot. The cool thing about the site too is that you know what the site's talking about. There's so many sites out there. You have no idea. You get onto it, especially a lot of these sacrifice sites, and you get on there, you go, what is this site actually doing? What are they talking about? And it's like you got to read the whole thing to try and interpret exactly what their product is, what they're offering, and stuff like that. So Power City is an ecosystem of projects designed to improve Pulsechain for the community, all connected through its central core, which is the project. Now, we're going to see the two of these are going to be on testnet coming up for October, I believe. So Power City Core is definitely going to be up running on October. So that's coming up in a couple of days, potentially. And I think the other one is, let me think, there was another one. Just got to remember which one it was here. I think it might be the Amplifier or the Transformer Swap. It's one of those two, I think. I can't remember which one. Let me know in the chat if you remember. I've just forgotten there. But of course, they're going to be one of the main NFT platform competitors that are native to Pulsechain as well. And they're already actually leading with a lot of potential ones coming on there. So it's going to be cool. So, yeah, very cool. And of course, they have a sacrifice. You can go up to the top here on the sacrifice there and click that. And you'll be able to participate if you want to. Make sure you do investment due diligence, of course. Basically, what else at here? Yeah, they started off, I understand. They started off with a 2-to-1, so you got 2 points to $1. Now they're at a 1-to-1, so 1-to-1 until Pulsechain launch. So we're in this zone here. You do get a recognition, though, a bonus on top of the 1-to-1. If you sacrifice a Pulsechain, PulseX, Liquid Loans, Intent Money, you can get up to 55% more if you've sacrificed for that. Make sure you use the same wallet, of course, so that it registers that. And they also have a third little component. You can use any of these tokens, by the way, but they do have a third component, which is this one here. So they give a random community bonuses. I think they're heading up towards this one. So they're pretty close to this. It looks like 80 random wallets get 35% bonus. I think Sandy Beach has got some of these, but there we are. They're pretty close to that from the looks of it. So cool. That is pretty much it. So I didn't plan on talking about Power City, but there we are. We just talked about it. Bam, just like that. That's how we roll on this channel. That's what happens there. Very cool. But what a huge thing for Pulsechain. And it looks like Richard's also working on that fiat on-ramp, off-ramp exchange with the purchase there. So really cool. Hey, we've got the Hex daily stats out for day 1031. We're going to get into that. Before we do that, of course, we're going to catch up on some of the comments that I probably got behind. So stay tuned. And we've just come up on the hour too. Hey, it's great to see so many people in the chat there. and watching. And yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Things are going to get maybe a bear market, and of course we are in volatile times. But of course, this ecosystem is really doing some great things. And a big shout out to all the devs and projects teams out there for making this such an enjoyable experience during a bear market, and for making it one of the best ecosystems on the planet. And of course, we know it's going to be the best at the end of the day once that Pulsechain launches as well. What else there? It's got some more comments. Let's get into that. I think we got up to here. Can change now be used? Sandy Beach change now can be used. But what you'll find is that SwapSpace is an aggregator, so they'll find the best platform, and a lot of the times that will be changed now that they will select for you as at the top. It'll be the top one there. I would watch before doing something the Hex Token tutorial, how to buy and sell Hex on Ethereum Power Network. Yeah, definitely watch that. I've got the how-to videos, how to buy and sell Hex on ETH Power, how to buy and sell Hex on ETH Fair networks. Check out those videos. Also posted a video yesterday on how to stake your Hex, Hedron, and Icosa with the Icosa Pro app there on all 3 chains. So check out that too if you haven't checked out that. 3 really important videos so that you give you a really good overview of what you need to do and less likely to make any mistakes there. I believe the change now is used as an aggregator in the swap changes. Yep, you definitely can. And it has the 5-star rate. These sites have been around, particularly these cross-chain swaps have been around for quite a few years, so they're pretty good. I've been using them for years, so that's pretty cool. Sandy Beach says my goal is to combine all Hex on one chain, ETH proof of stake. Yeah, well, some people have that goal there, Sandy Beach, and I think that's a reasonably good one, to be honest. I've almost got a doctorate in waiting, says Dave down under for the wait token. Yeah, that's true, and for Pulsechain. I'll just keep it on separate networks and let it be bake. Yeah, some people are doing that strategy too. I waited so long for my rewards was entry to the Purely Gates. Yeah. Was it? Hey, Cypher, good to see it. And Astro in the house, parity would be insane. Yeah, parity would be insane. And you could hold it on parity on those chains with a smaller liquidity pool. Obviously, if you're trying to have the same liquidity, you need all that economic energy to come into the platform. I would be highly critical of that happening on those 2 chains. But I definitely think on a lower volume, they could potentially hold a decent price. So we'll see. It'll be amazing to get parity for Hex. Now, sure, if you guys talked about it, but DC is creating a Maximus portfolio tracking app. Yes, I did talk about the fact that he's doing a portfolio app tracking app. So we're looking forward to that, Bob Wells. DC is working hard on that one. That's Dip Catcher from Maximus team. Astri, yeah, fingers crossed. Fat Sammy as well. Good to see Fat Sammy. What else there? Brennan says Coast was hinting that they wanted to sell their on-ramp off-ramp. I copied his channel to iterate before he tweeted this. Yeah, Brennan, that's been known for a while. They've teased that. And of course, I did a video on that earlier that's commenting on that option for Richard. Looking at tick screen for ETW, it looks like their stable tokens are up $1. That's bullish for them. Is it $1 now? Okay, interesting. I'll have a look at that. When Pulse Sir, my wife is angry, says Fat Sammy. It is one day closer. Sacrifice for Power City 1-to-1, definitely. And a win sacrifice is on too. Yeah, let's quickly talk about the win-to-win. That is just opened as well. Now, I may end up having a conversation with them, win-to-win. So they've obviously just launched Sacrifice to help raise awareness of how gambling harms, etc. But they've definitely got their sacrifice on at the moment. How they're doing, 170,000. So it looks like it's going to be one of the bigger ones. Doing pretty well there. Now, they're going to stop at $1 million. So $1 million gap on here. So I will post that in the chat there in case you want to check it out. But this one here is actually a reasonably innovative product. So that's pretty cool. You can see some of the top sacrifices so far. So you've got all the details there. But let's go to the website just quickly on the win-win. I may end up having these guys on the channel. I don't know. We'll see. I think they talk pretty well. I think they're Australian as well. DeFi savings account, compounding yield, big crypto prizes. I like this combination. I think this is a really good solution. I don't think we've seen something quite like this. Savings account, you can argue, is generic, but I think that the way they're doing this is quite cool. And definitely have prizes based on the more you stake, the more chances you have winning, all that good stuff. I kind of like this. I think it's kind of cool. But we'll see how that goes, and I may have them on the chat. So cool. Let's come up to a couple more comments. More power, baby. Yeah, Power City, more power. Yeah, we're going to need Pulsechain to launch before any more sacrifices. Yeah, well, people, some of these sacrifices, not all sacrifices are created equal. That's the way I'd say about that, Cypher. I do agree with you. I haven't been really covering sacrifices just for that same reason. But there are a couple of good projects out there that are well worth covering, like Magic, like Power City, and potentially some of these other ones, like maybe the one I just covered. So yeah, there are a few out there. They're not all created equal, that's for sure. I may be wrong, but I remember correctly, Power City said die to second address, and you get that die back on ETH also, says Astrid. Okay, didn't realize that. I changed now as the boss, says Extroverts. There is the link to the sacrifice for the win-win. Did you know about win-win sack limit? Yeah, $1 million. I didn't know. Yeah, 1 million. Yeah. I think at time team will have premium over Maxi. Big owner. Well, you know, the Maxi has a 4x Hedron bonus. 5x is a 5x bonus, including the base. I know that's a kind of a small part of it, but that's important. And it's also got 5 years more of the holding the T-share rate at an earlier T-share rate. And therefore, that's when you get the exponential blowout on the Hex payouts. So I don't know about that, Bakuna. I wouldn't price that way, but maybe the market might. I wouldn't do it myself because if you between the year 10 and year 15, the payout goes really exponential on there. So yeah, I'm not so sure about that myself. I wouldn't think so. Need Pulse to, hey, the markets can have funny perceptions, but that's mathematically that wouldn't make sense to me. Need Pulse to launch before someone forks ETH. The only thing I was going to say about that, of course, which is true, is that Maxi doesn't have diamond hands, and obviously a certain amount of the team is off the market. So yeah, that could be the counter argument there, Big Kuna. So yeah, it may do it, may do it, it may do it. It's like a battle between those two points that I had made, I reckon. But we don't know how much it's going to go to diamond hands or rewards. Obviously, the mystery box, if it is, that's the agency, which seems like the obvious one, and that's going to do mysterious drops to the diamond hand stakers. And then there's a lot of Maxi there, which is now scarce on the market. Yeah, we'll see. So Maxi is now 1/3 of Maxi's gone into all those things. It's going to be an interesting play there, Bakuna. Man, it's a lot cool. Astrid says, Hextrovert says, I was incorrect, suit man. Okay, cool. Yeah, I need to get in there. I like the team and project. Cool. Hey, let's jump into it, folks. Hex Daily Stats. Woohoo! Day 1031. And of course, 28th of September 2022. That's our year. And of course, we're up 2.9% on the Hex price. Very nice. And of course, 3.391 cents. So just shy of 3.4 cents there. The payout today, 6.3. Woohoo! So many penalties. Man, we looked at those already through the Hex Whalebot, remember? We went through all these and saw all the penalties there. What a great day. Obviously, I feel bad for people that get penalized, but, you know, that's just the way it goes. The increase in T-share rate there, 0. We're at 24,204 with $821 as the T-share price. Obviously, if you stake 10 years, you'll get that for 1/3 of the price because you get 20% more shares when you stake your Hex. Remember, your Hex gets burned, you get shares in return, which are part of the ownership pool, reflecting your ownership pool, and of course, 200% over 10 years there, 10 times 220%. The average stake net there, 6.64 years. It's not quite what I expected to see here, but that's what it says. So I'm just going to have to take it for what it is. I'm a little confused by the average stake length, to be honest, but let's move on. APY rate yield and emergency in-state penalties, 38.49%. Liquidity in the pool, we've gone down from 280 million down to 260 million. Very nice, heading in the right direction. US dollars in the pool, 11.7 million up to 12.3 million. Very, very good. I won't say very nice again because it's probably annoying. We got liquidity in there is up to 1,342. So really good day in the office there. We like that a lot. Remember, the liquidity moves around with the supply and demand for Hex and also with liquidity providers adding and removing liquidity. That can also have an impact on the price depending on how the demand and supply is going as well. And also how that liquidity is structured in the liquidity pool, right? So particularly V3, where you can put the liquidity on one side or the other, and things like that. So treat it like a kind of a limit order as well. So cool. All right. So what else have I got there? We're going to jump through here. I don't normally talk about these values, do I? The total value locked or anything like that, because we're going to move forward. Here we are, folks. Woo! Hot doggity dog. There it is. There it is. Oh my gosh, up and to the right. Oh, wow. Perpetuals make themselves known. Booyah, booyah. 95,296 T-shares. Wow, 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 wow. Almost, look at that, man. 10,396,000 jumped almost to 10.5 million T-shares. Amazing. Up 95,296. We got the Decimus. We got the Trio, the Lucky, and the Base. Like a booyah. That is so amazing. You're not going to see events like that, I don't think, very often. I won't say it ever again, but very often you won't see things like that. That's pretty amazing. And of course, especially now with the share rate up as high as it is, remember the share rate makes it much harder to get T-shares up at 24,204 now. Man, oh man, 810 million hex there, folks. 95,000 T-shares. Obviously, it's got a little bit of other stuff in there, but man, that's crazy. That's crazy good. So remember, Hex is easy to understand. We have a reward pool with the inflation and penalties in it, and we have an ownership pool with the T shares in it, which stands for trillions of shares, and we've got 10.5 million of those at the moment. And of course, if there's a bit of movement on each of these, then the payment changes. And of course, we've seen the base payout change here. We've got 6.1 here now. We were up at higher. What was it? 6.12, 6.13, or something like that. But so it's gone down slightly. So that's the offset there. Positive with T-shares. Obviously, this is more positive over the medium long term because it puts Hex, gets Hex staked off to 810 million Hex staked out and on a perpetual basis as well. And the vast majority of it at 10 years with the Desi stake. And of course, but then of course the payout gets shared amongst more shares. And that's pretty much it. So, but it's worth the trade-off. In my opinion, quite nicely there. And like I say, we could be under 16 billion circulating supply based on the Hex audit, and maybe we might be as low, even lower than that. Maybe we might be 15.5. But that all helps with the overall picture of where Hex is going in terms of circulating supply. It'd be nice to get a nice update from Gunther the accountant, aka Wolverine, on where he thinks the T-shares are updated. But of course, I got my waterfall chart, which gives a good indication of where it's heading. So that's pretty cool. Let's jump over to where we're going here. So you can see all those big Hex that pulled out the other day. It's just the timing in terms of when they were getting staked. What else there? 130 million in good accounting as well. Wow. Woo, decrease. Oh, yeah, that's pretty massive. Anyway, so the amount of stake coins there, 9.75%. Yeah, a little confused by these percentages here. It's just the average stake length and the percentage stake coins. It's a little bit confusing. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening with these numbers. But anyway, we're going to move on. Penalties there, 4 million. What another great day for T-share holders. Absolutely fantastic. And of course, looking good. What else we got going there? We got the average stake number of stakers up 48 to 109,646. Wallets up 8. I'm not sure what's happening with these numbers over here on the wallet numbers. Some interesting things here. Yeah, so a bit weird if you ask me. Anyway, we're up 174 on total holders, up to 498,857. We're almost at 500,000 on the total holder numbers. A really nice symbolic number and very, very cool. The main number, of course, is stakers. Get out there, as I always say, encourage you to get out there with direct promotions. It's Richard's favorite thing, direct promotions. Get out there, maybe doing leaflets around your local block every month or something like that. Maybe getting onto online platforms, whatever you feel comfortable with. Then get out there and spread the word. It is a great dollar cost average price to get into Hex. And obviously, if you believe in the ecosystem, and you can see how amazing it's spanning with Cozy here, John, Maximus, of course, and of course, coming up, we're going to have Power City Flex as well. And maybe there'll be other second layer derivatives as well coming up in the future, which I would look forward to. Then, yeah, get out, spread the word. And Pulsechain's coming. We're getting a copy on Pulsechain. So really, really cool there. Spread the word, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are in the gold standard of crypto, really. There might be tens of thousands of crypto out there diluting Bitcoin's dominance, but the reality is that out of all those, most of them are pretty much rubbish if you think about it. They have very small communities. They manage to keep a price just the way liquidity pools work, but really at the top, there's only the top tier unicorn projects, and of course, Hex, Pulsechain, Pulsex in that elite group. And potentially could dominate that group in the years ahead, which we're expecting to see. We see all the right foundations for that. And of course, it doesn't mean it doesn't go through bear markets. The price charts are always in the game. Rich said that time and time again, that retraces in the game. Sometimes they can be pretty big, like 95% pullback as we've experienced. Sometimes they can be 60%, 68%, you know, whatever it's going to be, 50%. Each one's going to be different. And of course, sometimes that's going to be long over time extracted. But of course, now we just saw 95,000 T shares get staked, 810 million Hex more off the market for good. And of course, we're probably going to have a lot more things like that coming up in the future. It's going to be fun to see, like Power City Flex, for example. All right, so cool. That is pretty neat. I hope that the Power City, I don't know what the time frame Pulsechain obviously ultimately will be, but if they can launch on the ETH chain with some of their variations, they're going to have a bit of a variation on the themes in terms of the amounts and durations of stakes. That'd be really, really cool. One of the other products I could interestingly see is a very large pool that's maybe a monthly rotating stake. That could be pretty interesting. If it was a really large pool that was rotating on a short-term basis, we see obviously a lot of stakers do that. That'd be a pretty interesting mechanism. All right, so cool. What else? I think that's probably it on there. Awesome stuff. We're now up to day 1032, looking really good, folks. And of course, we're coming up to an hour and 15. Let's end up on the charts here. I'm going to have a quick reference here. We've got BTC at 19,500, ETH at 1,335. And of course, my pick for the next wee while, subject to gamification, is a Pulse Dogecoin and Pulse Bitcoin, which is apparently launches imminent. And of course, obviously, do your own investment due diligence, not investment advice, just my opinion. And of course, then after that, I expect Hedron Icosa to be the next probable mover out of the more certain, bigger projects. That excludes the more speculative stuff like ETH Power and Ether. But of course, accumulation is typically the best strategy if you're doing that. Some people like the strategy of selling those out and then pushing it back into ETH, which is a good strategy too. Obviously, they're all going to have different outcomes, but just the way it goes. At the moment, we've got Hex at just under 3.4 cents there, and we've got Maxi at just under 8.5 cents there, with a premium over Hex of 2.48. So a little bit of a selling there, but not too bad. We got as high as 2.56. Absolutely incredible on the Maxi chart here. Very, very cool. We'll be watching Team, of course, pretty closely as well with Maxi Team. And of course, Maxi Team ratio is at 1.08 at the moment. And what else there? Hedron USDC is currently just sitting around 3,000, waiting for its moment in the sun. And of course, that's maybe about 6 weeks away, which will probably get front run. So maybe it's four weeks away or something. We'll see when the market decides to move on that. All right, cool. That's pretty much it. Let's jump back out of there. And I hope you guys enjoyed that, man. So, man, we're just going from good news to good news. Maximus. Then we got this tweet about Richard Art and exchanges. Power City tweets about major partnerships, major economic energy in the Pulsechain. Things are just ticking over pretty nicely there, folks. And then we got a couple of cool new sacrifices with obviously with the win-win looks interesting product. May end up having them on the channel, and of course you can still sacrifice for Power City, which is going to clearly be one of the top utility dApps, along with liquid loans and possibly fiat. Although I think fiat's got a bit more work to do in terms of the user interface and anyway, maybe product delivery. But with those sort of things, you can probably get things like flash loans and debt refinancing, interest rate swaps, and things like that. That's sort of the product dimensions possibly that could come out. Now, I would like to see Power City move into a lot of that stuff myself. I'd like to see Power City move into doing a lot of that kind of fiat type of situation as well. With all those financial derivative products would be pretty cool. So there's a bit of food for thought there. What else there? We've got a couple more comments to wrap things up as we each out there. Hey, Magic Cup in the team. Hey, good to see Magic Cup ride. Got the lookouts there. Team accumulate increase in pool volumes, and you do not need to burn your team to get your earnings. That's true, Big Kuna. I agree with those points. I agree Superman Mystery Box will play a big role in rewards that will determine what perform better between Team and Maxi. Yeah, there are actually pros on both sides, so I definitely agree with Kahuna on that. KD and House said very nice. Yeah, definitely very nice. I've got to stop saying that so much. KD says boom T-shares. Yeah, absolutely amazing on the T-shares there. Hot diggity dog. Yeah, absolutely huge day for T-shares, folks. 95,000. That's so bullish for Hex, man. That's a big signal for Hex. I saw that Steph from Stake Rat was very excited about what's going on there. Yeah, just another step now. I had, what was I talking about on my waterfall chart? Let's bring that up quickly. I was going to wrap up, but let's bring that up. We've still got to probably end up going for an hour and a half now because I've got to talk about this So let's do that. Where's my waterfall chart? Now, let me think about the numbers I was going to put in here. I'm going to try and look to update the HSI numbers because the HSI I've got 250. I think it's going to be up 350. I think I'm going to have 350 or maybe 400 in here. So just wait till I update that. That's the ACO's HSI new cells. We had the original cells and the new cells, so I'm waiting for that. So this is Hex Token Supply. This number here is based on going to the accountant's audit from May 2021. I do have the April 2022. That's how this adjustment's been made. But these adjustments here, but we've had, all these things come in here. The only thing that's an estimate here is the Hex Investment Trust, and I will try and customize this chart. I've just got to get around to finding. I have had a couple of searches, haven't found one yet. That's good enough. Anyway, so this is where we were here. Maximus upside. So this is our final result. So we had 600 million through Maximus 4, and then we ended up having Maximus upside of 210. Now, if you recall, I had 300 million as a ballpark, which was 50%, and we ended up doing pretty well, right? 210 versus 300, and of course 810 was pretty close to a 900. That was on the upside, and yeah, we did pretty well. So that's not a bad estimate, and these are now the actuals, which is cool. And of course, moving ahead to Power City Flex. It would be pretty cool if they launch on Ethereum. We don't know when. Maybe Pulsechain comes out in the new year, in Q1 possibly. Maybe a pre-Christmas launch at the earliest, in my view. But let's see how we go with that and other projects there. We may have some other projects come in and maybe eat up some of the Hex Token Lane supply. But these are the kind of the next things to come up. Now, some of these other projects might be Maximus themselves. Maybe they have another project. Now, they are trying to get another project out soon. They have to do that apparently before a certain amount of time. They haven't told us what that is. At the moment, they're working on their dashboards, of course, which is important. And then, of course, they're not stopping. They're going to keep innovating, which is really cool leadership in the market. And so, yeah, where there's a potential we could get this. Maybe we'll get some more Hex eaten up off the second lane supply. I've got the Heart Wallet coming as well eventually. I don't know when Richard's going to time that. But, of course, this is part of the vertical integration there. And so, yeah, looking forward to that. This is not a must, I think. This is not a necessary part. But, 0. Imagine if we had 500 million going into the Heart Wallet. That would be pretty cool. Just don't know how that's going to set up there, whether it's going to be, how close it's going to be to internet money concept. I happen to feel like it probably will be fairly close. This is my thoughts on that one. So cool. And we've got the Hex Investment Trust. If they can go public, oh my goodness. That's still the problem that they're having at the moment, I think, is the Hex, the price is too low. They have to get over $10 million. So they've probably had a lot of people going. They probably met their 50 people target. I think it's 50 or 55 people, but they're still waiting for the US dollar to jump back. So they have to have over 10 million. And of course, if the Hex price jump back there, and I'm not sure how it would work, but maybe they have to hold that for 30 days or something like that. You know how sometimes they say, if you can hold this value for 30 days, then apply to the SEC to get this, to get onto NASDAQ or whatever. And so they'll have to apply to NASDAQ and I guess SEC for that. And of course, that would be bullish, man, bullish. That's opening up to every equity market in the world, all the RRAs, everything, all the big stuff. And of course, who else offers their 38% APY on a long-term stake? And of course, these guys are going to be staking everything 5. So we won't actually have transparency on that, at least on a public basis, until they go public. So we're looking forward to that. So we actually don't know exactly how much they've put in yet. But obviously, they've been able to buy Hex at a really good price, and of course, they're getting copied on Pulsechain as well. And of course, anything they had on the Ethereum chain is now being copied over to ETH Power and ETH Fair. So the Hex Investment Trust is over there too now, right, with everybody else. So that's pretty cool. But this could be super bullish. Let's see what we could get out of that. It could be quite mind blowing, and of course, that will take a bit of marketing as well, though. Just doesn't people don't just find out for themselves. That could be pretty attractive, just like the Bitcoin Grayscale Trust there. So lots of cool stuff. Obviously, Virality Heist of Stakes by the end of the year could be pretty good too, depending on how successful it is, what distribution contracts they get, who they get it with, how the format is, how many people watch that, and all sorts of stuff, and what percentage of that ends up going to buy Hex on the market, which could be pretty good if you get, if we're getting tens of millions, hundreds of millions, potentially over, say, an 80-month period that watch it, or 9 months, or however long it is. That could be a pretty good upside as well. And obviously, Pulsechain is going to be epic on both chains. Epic for ETH chain, epic for Pulsechain, in my view. So we'll look forward to that. And then, of course, the EB exchange coming up with Rack and Michelle Overwatch. liquid lines and fiat, of course, coming up. And of course, potentially we might be able to add in Power City into this as well with some of that. So with onboarding, and of course, this excludes a lot of these. When I say Pulsechain, that's including things like Free Pulse and all the other onboarding, everything else on there. But I'm separating out the DeFi lenders because this is leverage lending. Those are the things that really pump the asset classes. And of course, that's going to be 4 to 6 weeks afterwards. Now they have the Oracle Teller as well, which is super bullish for Pulsechain. So looking for that. And then we're going to have other things. And by that time, we're going to eat up the Hex supply on the ETH chain and on Pulsechain. Because remember, everybody that's owns Hex on ETH is going to have owners on Pulse too. You're going to have 2 bad boy chains, absolutely valuable. And of course, each of them with their pros and cons. And of course, Pulsechain with a lot of pros. And of course, then you're going to have earning passive income on both chains. Obviously, we're going to have ETH Power and ETH Fair, whatever that's going to be worth at the time. But of course, the 2 main games in town are going to be Pulsechain and ETH proof of stake chain. Man, it could be pretty cool. Now, a lot of these numbers, of course, are just a great, what do you call them, straw man numbers. Just take them into account. But we have actual numbers now up to here, apart from the Hex Investment Trust. These numbers are actual numbers. So they're nice. Let's keep going, folks. Bullish for Hex outlook, in my view. Very bullish indeed. All right, let's get on to it. We've got Rothko huge, absolutely huge. Get that Hex off the market, says KD. Yeah, definitely Hex off the market. What's the deal with adding 369 to the sacrifice? You're talking about to the win-win. I think you basically get a bonus there, or extra rate there on the 369. Now, that was on the win-win, wasn't it? Now, you can find all the links to new tokens here on the new tokens on the Discord. Join the links in the video description to join our Discord, which is heading up towards, 800 people. So it's pretty nice. Let's go to the win-win. I've got it here somewhere. Win-win. It's a win-win. Here's win-win here. And of course, let's have a look. So sacrifice, I think. Let's have a look on the win-win sacrifice here. I think it's down the bottom here. Where is it here? Yeah, so this one here. Additional points may be recorded against addresses that choose to add 369 to the token amount sacrificed. So additional points may. The keyword there is may. But if you add 0.369 to the amount that you sacrificed, a bit like Liquid Lines, Liquid Lines did that for their longer pays better bonus, where they had 12 and 24 months and things like that. It's a bit like that. So yeah, looking forward to this. All right, cool. Yeah, I might have the team on here as well. Now, that's pretty much it. What else there? Let's jump back to the charts there. This is where we are at the moment. Bring on a pump on Hex. That's what we all want to say. It's a good time now. Good time for Hex to have a bit of a pump. Get the Hex off the markets. I think we covered that. Dipcatcher hinted that there might be other pool products created that can add to team rewards, no expectations. I agree with that, Bakuna. I'm looking forward to lots more products and benefits coming into that ecosystem, Bakuna. So I agree with you on that big time. Dipcatcher hinted that the Maxi team might add a Maxi staking feature in the future. Cool. That's great. Yeah. So lots of that stuff's coming, and thanks for the heads up on that, Bakuna and KD. A new exchange by Rich Hart. That can be interesting, says Pac-Man. Magic Cup Ride says the boys from Win-Win would love to stream with you. Ask about the MCR Easter egg for Win-Win Sacrifice, says Magic Cup Rides. Oh, that'd be cool, Magic Cup Ride. Look forward to that. Hex Investment Trust is so close. There's Black Pepper. Cool. That's really cool. Thanks for the drop there, Black Pepper. Yeah, I believe it would be too close as well to 10 million. That's going to be massive for the ecosystem. That pretty much bridges us into the fiat world, and that's big money. That's where all the big money is. Like I say, crypto's small on a market cap basis, and of course we want to attract that money into Hex, just like how successful Grayscale Bitcoin's been. No pool. Sacrifice directly to Win-Win. Use 0.369 in your sacrifice to get 25% bonus. Okay, 25%. Okay, I didn't actually say that on there. It said May, but 25%. Cool. Sandy Beach in the house. Also, I just read the Win-Win website. It says KD. Hey, Hex Token. Woohoo. So if you had to choose one, Hex W, Hedron W, or ETH W, which would I choose? Probably, ETH W's already had a rise. I'd probably split mine between, I think you'd do reasonably well splitting your strategy between all three. But if I was going to have to choose, then I would probably choose Hex W, because it's one of the top tokens there But that being said, ETH does play a big role in there as well in terms of the value. But yeah, this probably wouldn't be as accumulate HexW there. Now there are there are other strategies, Crypto Arty. There are other strategies. So yeah. So it's a sacrifice, win-win, and Hex says Stevie. That's right, 1 day closer. There's a MCR thank you bonus, says Magic Carp Ride. Oh, nice. That's really, really cool. Hey, thanks for that, Magic Carp Ride. You jinxed Hex price super. No, I did, but it's almost doing well. It's almost doing well. I think that's it. An hour and 30 minutes. That's a good time to finish the live stream. Woohoo! We're down to 1 live stream a day, of course, and I'll be doing pre-record videos the rest of the time. And of course, I'll be getting out and about out into the big wide world in the meantime as well. So I hope you guys are enjoying a lot of short form videos. They're going to be, news break videos, tutorials, insight videos, and project videos, things like that. So stay tuned. Lots more coming. I think that's it. So let's wrap up here. We've got Hex just under 3.4 cents. Maxi at a 2.485 premium. And Maxi team ratio there is 1.08 Mac team. And of course, we've got Hedron there at just under 3,000. That's pretty much it. Take care, everybody. I hope you guys like it. And of course, very nice. All right, we're going to play out the thing. Shall I play out some funky music? Let's play out Power City Core because we've been talking about them today. So let's do it. And it was all unplanned, by the way, all unplanned. I've got to get the new video, by the way, and add a new song to this. Add the song to this because this is the old format. So I do apologize that this is the way it goes. But the music's funky. Let's play. All right, bye for now. Peace. Subscribe, like, the bell, share. Join our Discord. Link in the video description. That's how we roll, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. Hosting, donation. X, product on the planet.